Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 4th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It just now dawned on me. It just hit me like like a bat out of the blue. I'm supposed to do the vampire voice, aren't I? I'm supposed to do the vampire voice all month. We're already 4 days in. I don't think I'm doing it. Maybe I'll do it on Halloween. Can we make that concession, my dear listeners? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But no, we're back. We're back again on the same day. Double header, part two, part D. We got more news. So I'll spare you the blogging. We already got through all that. So let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into it. I remember being like, I gotta hit these, and then I would hit those every single day of the month, and then I was like, all right, we did it until next year, and then here we are. I'm like, nah, I'm good. We're good. All right. First story comes from CNN. Former NFL quarterback and current analyst Mark Sanchez hospitalized and arrested after apparent stabbing in Indianapolis. Former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez is in stable condition after he was apparently stabbed early Saturday. He is now under arrest for his role in the incident that led to his injury. Sanchez was in Indianapolis to work as an analyst on Fox Sports broadcast of the Indianapolis Colts game against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. He's been arrested by Indianapolis police on 3 misdemeanor charges related to the altercation. Fox Sports announced Saturday afternoon that Sanchez was in stable condition at a local hospital. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department has since announced that Sanchez was arrested at the hospital for battery with injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, and public intoxication for his role in the altercation. All 3 of these offenses are misdemeanors. Excuse me. CNN is working to determine whether Sanchez has legal representation. Earlier, IMPD shared a statement detailing an apparent stabbing involving Sanchez that occurred around 12:30 a.m. Saturday morning, less than a mile from the Colts Lucas Oil Stadium. The incident involved 2 males, resulting in one male receiving lacerations and the other sustaining injuries consistent with stab wounds. Detectives believe this was an isolated incident between the 2 men and not a random act of violence, the statement said. IMPD aggravated assault detectives are continuing the investigation and have reviewed video footage of the incident. Both men received medical treatment. The man with the apparent stab wounds remains hospitalized in stable condition. Police said the decision to arrest Sanchez was made following consultation with Marion County Prosecutor's Office, which will make the final charging decision. CNN has reached out to the prosecutor's office for comment. Sanchez remains in the hospital, so that kind of leads us to kind of speculate as in who got the stab wound, right? That seems like Sanchez, and then, the other guy who we don't know got the lacerations, right? There you go. Expert commentary by me. There you go. Good analysis. Thank you. No, sorry. Sanchez remains in the hospital and has yet to have been booked into the adult detention center, according to IMPD. Let's see, screen. Yeah, we're pretty much get there. So yeah, this was a thing that popped up on my little news feed, and I was like, oh shit. And also, I couldn't quite pick like picture where like he seemed familiar is what I'm trying to say. But after starting as quarterback for the USC Trojans, which is where I remember seeing him when I was younger, it was kind of like on the fringe tail end of when I was like falling out of even caring about sports, because the only reason I cared about it was like high school related. Like I would watch this stuff on ESPN, like Sports Center. I'd watch a little here and there just to know enough about college teams and pro teams so I could like carry a little conversation. And that's more or less any of the knowledge that I kind of hold to. So I was like, this guy seems so familiar, like in an uncanny way, but I can't quite picture it. And when they said USC Trojans, I was like, that's who, that's where. But Sanchez played in the NFL for 10 seasons. I didn't, really catch that. With the New York Jets and several other teams, retiring after the 2018 season. Sanchez joined Fox Sports in 2021 as a game analyst. So yeah, I don't know. This honestly is giving knife fight vibe, but I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe it was just over one knife, and I would definitely like to get more details and come back to the story for sure. But at least good that no one is dead. So that's a W. Also a little bit of a random just breaking news headline I want to hit. Breaking: Judge temporarily blocks Trump's attempt to deploy Oregon National Guard to Portland. And this is a little bit of a random aside, but I had mentioned the Pete Hegseth rallying call for all the generals and admirals to come so he could come and lecture them about warrior ethos and, being too woke in the military. How's he going to get rid of it? I mentioned that Trump was there. They both did our speeches. And something that I was really kicking myself for not mentioning that was a very key thing was that Trump said that he's really hoping and pitching this idea that we can use urban cities, American urban cities, as training grounds for our military. And that's kind of what this is all about. At least that's like an aspect that he likes about what's happening. It's like this is a bit of an upside here. And that to me, like, just, once again, when I initially talked about it, I was just like, I kind of want to get over the story and whatever. But just thinking and coming back to that more and more, like, it's just like, that's so fucking, like, dystopian to be like, yeah, I'm going to treat my own citizens that way. Like they're, like, training tools, like, they're props. This is just good exercise for our military. No, dude, that's not how we fucking do it. You're giving these motherfucking troops too much fucking training, not enough training to actually be like actually efficient, but enough to do it. I'm off the rails. It's just one of those things where I was like, hearing that shit was very unnerving is what I'm trying to say. And I felt remiss to go the whole week without actually mentioning that fact. But anyway, back to the news story that I wanted to cover. It's an update on Ian Roberts, the Des Moines superintendent. From ABC News. Former Des Moines superintendent who was detained by ICE, federally charged. A now former school superintendent who is detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents has been charged by federal prosecutors in Iowa with one count of being an illegal alien in possession of firearms, according to court records. Former Des Moines Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts was charged by complaint on Wednesday, according to the case docket. He appeared briefly for an initial appearance Thursday afternoon, during which he waived his right to a detention hearing and preliminary examination. According to the docket, the court ordered that Roberts be detained and was advised that an immigration detainer had been lodged, according to the docket. Roberts was arrested on Thursday, according to the docket. He had been in ICE detention at the Woodbury County Jail in Sioux County, though he has since been taken into custody by the Department of Justice on a federal warrant for his arrest, according to Woodbury County Sheriff Chad Sheehan. Roberts, 54, was initially detained by ICE agents on Friday. He was in possession of a loaded handgun, a fixed-blade hunting knife, and $3,000 in cash, according to ICE. The pistol was wrapped in a towel under the driver's seat, according to the federal criminal complaint. It was purchased in Arkansas from a federally licensed dealer by someone who is believed to be Roberts' spouse, according to the complaint. During a search of his residence on Friday, the complaint alleges law enforcement located a loaded pistol underneath the seat cushion of a chair in his living room, and a loaded rifle in the bedroom closet, and a shotgun behind a headboard in the bedroom. The 4 firearms were found to be manufactured outside of Iowa and therefore crossed a state line before Roberts possessed them, the complaint said. Multiple magazines and ammunition were also located during the search of his residence. ABC has reached out to his attorney for comment, but has not yet received a response. Roberts, a native of Guyana, entered the U.S. in 1999 on a student visa that expired in 2004, according to the complaint. He has no work authorization in the U.S., and a judge issued a final order of removal in 2024, according to ICE. He resigned as superintendent of the Des Moines Public Schools on Tuesday. Roberts joined the district in July of 2023 and had previously held leadership positions in school districts across the U.S. for 20 years, according to Des Moines School Board Chair Jackie Norris. The Des Moines School Board was not aware of Roberts' immigration issues at the time of his hiring, according to Norris, who said following his detainment that the board is taking the ICE allegations very seriously. So, I mean, you kind of saw it, and this is part of the reason why I'm doing this long, just read through, because there's been definitely a changing, the more people have been finding out about Roberts' background, or maybe lack thereof, or maybe, more criminal than people thought or expected. So that's all kind of colliding with the fact that it was like, hey, we had this whole huge moment where he's running from ICE with, a firearm and all this shit. So people have been kind of coming from, I still think he has people defending him for sure. And I still obviously have my problems with ICE and how they've been moving and doing all this fucking shit. But now that all this shit is kind of coming to the fore, people are like, oh, wait, this was our superintendent and he has like this kind of criminal record and this whole jacket and all this shit's going on, da 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 da. And there's been definitely a bit of like, okay, wait, now that more is coming out, we don't necessarily back this. We see that Roberts has, resigned, da da da. I think they're kind of trying to move forward now, it looks like. But let's continue to read. He also applied in 2018. Hold on, I think I skipped a thing. According to the complaint, Roberts applied with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services for permanent residence 4 times, once in 2001 and 3 times in 2018, but was denied. He also applied in 2018 for an adjustment of status based on his marriage to a U.S. citizen, but it was denied in January 2020 because he failed to respond to a request for additional information. So, I mean, you probably need more details on that, but that does seem like rigmarole to me in terms of like saying, hey, I'm trying to get literal legal status in this country. And it's like, oh, well, we needed this thing. But I mean, granted, there might be more to that. But let's see. Roberts has not had helpful or not has, excuse me, Roberts has not had lawful employment authorization since December 2020, according to the complaint. He was ordered removed from the U.S. on May of 2024 in a hearing he was not present for, and an immigration judge denied his motion to reopen immigration proceedings in April, finding that Roberts had failed to demonstrate that he did not receive notice of the 2024 hearing. Roberts resigned as superintendent a day after the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners said it revoked Roberts' administrator license, and the Des Moines School Board voted unanimously to put him on unpaid administrative leave and provide proof that he is authorized to work in the U.S. or face termination. He did not provide the board with that information, according to Norris. For all of us, this is not what we anticipated when we welcomed Dr. Ian Roberts into central Iowa and the Des Moines School District a little more than 2 years ago. It is a sad and troubling end for an individual who gave many people, especially our students, hope. Norris said during a special session on Tuesday, during which the board voted to accept Roberts' resignation. Let's see, I'm going to skip ahead a bit here. 1 month after starting his job as superintendent, Roberts was served with a restraining order, according to the Sheriff's Department in Polk County, Iowa, which served notice of the order to Roberts at his office in August of 2023. The reason for the restraining order, which was issued by a court in Jackson County, Missouri, and the identity of the person requesting it are not known. A spokesperson for the Polk County Sheriff's Office confirmed service of the notice to Roberts, but told ABC News he could not elaborate because the court records are sealed. Let's see here. Making a quick aside here. I went on, what was this, ABC 9, and there's a article with the headline, ICE releases criminal history on former Des Moines superintendent. It had a little bit more like details on his criminal background. I really don't want to get into the weeds about it, but it just shows that it's a bit more illustrious. I mean, I say that, but in a negative way. But it's just like, oh yeah, I could see once again when you see that there's like trails of this out here, and you're like, hey, this person was made superintendent, and you guys didn't like really check that shit. Along with talking about the whole, legal status and all that. Once again, if you're a concerned, parent, you'd be like, oh, well, yeah, I definitely have some strong words to say about the situation. Even though I have heard good things about Roberts in terms of his interactions with schools and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the Elections Board of Maryland declined to confirm that the registered voter is... I skipped ahead, my bad. Let's see here. Following his attainment by ICE, state elections officials in Maryland said that a man whose name matches that of Roberts was registered to vote in the state. But they say there's no record of him casting a ballot. A person matching his name, birth date, and address registered as a Democrat in 2017, according to the Maryland voter registration database. I don't know why I said it that way. The Elections Board of Maryland declined to confirm that the registered voter is in fact the former superintendent in a statement released earlier this week. The board noted in a statement that the individuals are prohibited from securing voter registration unlawfully, but outlined a scenario in which an ineligible voter could be unintentionally registered to vote via an automatic voter registration agency such as the State Motor Vehicle Agency. Let's see here. I'm scrolling ahead a bit. Let's see. Roberts' resume has also come under scrutiny regarding portions of his educational history involving 3 universities that appear to be inflated or false. A spokesperson for MIT's Sloan School of Management said in a statement that they have no record of Roberts attending as an MBA candidate in 2009 to 2021, as Roberts claimed on his LinkedIn profile. A spokesperson for George Washington University said the school never gave Roberts a Principal of the Year award in Washington, D.C. in 2013, as was stated on Roberts' since-removed superintendent biography on the Des Moines Public School website, GWU. In fact, does not even issue such an award, the spokesperson said. So when I caught whiff of that, I was like, oh boy. So, yeah, this is still a bummer. It's still fuck ICE. It's still fuck this whole situation, how the Trump administration is moving and handling these things. But at the end of the day, this is definitely starting to look like a bit of a hustle and flow moment, where we have an individual who's doing a bit of faking it till they make it, and they made it all the way to the superintendent position. And I'm not saying they should be in that position, given maybe, the background or whatever. I could definitely understand why people are going to have their scruples and problems with that, especially the way you lied to get said positions, or position. So I see a problem here. I see the stinky issue at hand. But, I was like, okay, we definitely got to come back. We got to cover this story in more detail. Because when I hear you're faking the fuck on like, hey, I got this MBA or whatever, it's like, no, the fuck you don't, bro. Like, you went to the school, sure, all right, you showed up, okay, but like, no, man, you didn't grind for that. You didn't get that. Actually, this school doesn't even offer what you're saying they offered you. Awkward. That's so awkward. But I mean, like I said, we do love an American dream. We do love an American dream realized. I think also another thing, too, is it's not really mentioned in this article, but he did have the Olympic background. And I think that that's something that can really razzle dazzle. Like, people, if you put that on a resume, you mention that in an interview, people see you, recognize you somehow because there's some Olympic sports nerd or something. That goes a long way. Now you have like this celebrity, you have this star power to them. And then you just build on that, build off of that, because I imagine maybe you work on some charisma. Guy definitely does seem pretty charismatic. So I could see how this kind of all comes to be. But yeah, it is definitely just weird how, like I said, once again, a hustle and flow moment, if you will, has now converged because we have ICE doing what the fuck they do, just trying to nab people up willy-nilly, boom, boom, body stature style. So Anyway, let's move on. Maybe some, if you're in the religious sphere, might consider this next story some good news. I'll call it interesting, but let me take a water break. All this yapping, yeah, I'm parched. I will say, being in on a Saturday night does feel a bit surreal. I'm just mentioning that, thinking out loud. Anyway, from the Associated Press, Sarah Mullally, I'm sure I'm fucking that up, but we're going to say Mullally, named the first female Archbishop of Canterbury in history of the Church of England. Bishop of London, Sarah Mullally, shattered a stained glass ceiling Friday when she was announced as the next Archbishop of Canterbury, the first time a woman has been chosen as the Church of England's spiritual leader. Mullally, 63, a former cancer nurse who became England's youngest chief nursing officer before joining the clergy, faces serious challenges in the church that include divisions over the treatment of women and LGBTQ people. She will also have to confront concerns that church leaders haven't done enough to stamp out the sexual abuse scandals that have dogged the church for more than a decade. The choice of Mullally as Archbishop of Canterbury marks a major milestone for a church that has ordained its first female priest in 1994 and its first female bishop in 2015. She follows 105 men who have held the role since St. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury in the year of 597. Let's see here. I'm scrolling ahead through the quotes. Let's see. Mullally will replace former Archbishop Justin Welby, who announced his resignation in November after an independent investigation found he failed to tell police about serial physical and sexual abuse by a volunteer at Christian summer camps as soon as he became aware of it. The new archbishop will be faced with declining church attendance, bloated management structures, and clergy squabbling over what people do in the bedroom, said Andrew Greystone, an advocate for church abuse survivors. But the biggest challenge for the new archbishop is to restore trust after a decade of abuse scandals. Mullally addressed congregants for the first time in her new role from a lectern in Canterbury Cathedral, where she opened with a prayer and spoke of hope she saw despite uncertain times globally and struggles within the church, referring to the legacy of deep harm and mistrust for failing to protect church members from abuse. Let's see, I'm going to scroll ahead a little bit, but she does mention the Thursday synagogue attack. Thoughts and prayers type shit, I feel. But, it definitely makes sense. That's very, that's a good, wholesome thing to do from one religion to another, one community to another, so to speak. Let's see here. I'm going to just once again skip that. The Anglican community, I think it's Anglican. Anglican Communion has more than 85 million members spread across 165 countries, including the Episcopal Church in the United States. While each national church has its own leader, the Archbishop of Canterbury is considered first among equals. Now I want to skip down to some opposition because not everyone has been happy about this. It has gotten a lot of rave reviews from people in general. People are like, okay, that's cool. Lady in the position. All right, we're okay with it. But there are some who are like, no, boo, tomato, tomato. The Global Anglican Future Conference, known as GAFCON, that includes the archbishops of Nigeria, Rwanda, and Uganda, and has been critical of the church's blessing of same-sex marriage, said the appointment was sorrowful and would further split the church because it said the promoted unbiblical and revisionist teachings regarding marriage and sexual morality. So I think it's already bad that this group is like, oh, we're anti same-sex marriage and we think it's like very harmful and we want to stamp it out. We want to be very against it. We're very anti. But then on top of it, there is this part. Though there are some who will welcome the decision to appoint Bishop Mullally as the first female Archbishop of Canterbury, the majority of the Anglican Communion still believes that the Bible requires a male-only How am I getting this? I'm gonna fuck this up. Episcopi. I think it is Episcopi. The Reverend Laurent Mbanda said in a statement for the group. Therefore, her appointment will make it impossible for the Archbishop of Canterbury to serve as a focus of unity within the communion. So I'm very curious if this is an energy where they're just being antagonistic and they're just like, once again, they're booing with their thumbs down, or are they actually going to try to like do some schism shit, try to split? I don't know, but I'm kind of assuming they're just upset and they're just molding about it. Excuse me, a bit of a burp. But, it's sad to see that because, I mean, once again, I don't expect when we're talking about any kind of religious group, any kind of religious community to hear anything very progressive. I think it's cool when they make a decision like this to put a woman in power, but it is kind of sad to see that it's like maybe they're doing this because they're so pressed and hip deep in allegations, and they're just like, here's a lady here's a lady to fix all this, everything's on fire, but surely a woman will fix it, or we'll just pin it on her. Like, so I don't know. I do hope it's with the best intentions that this is happening. I do hope that things are going to be brighter and better from this, though I don't really follow much church activity unless it makes a big headline, I don't know. At least not these days, though. Anyway, this was never really my bag. I was non-denominational. So anyway, I felt like, okay, it's a girl boss moment. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and bless up. But we have another girl boss to cover. This is a bit of breaking news that I saw. Well, I listened to this on NPR, and it kind of got me mad. I'll try to get to that when we talk about this story. But I was like, all right, no matter what, I want to get this story in for sure. So here we are on the part 2, closing it out. But let's go ahead and take our last break, and we will go to Japan. I gotta say, I hate any situation where I have to talk about Japan, a country that like aesthetically and like just like the whole vibe, the history, it's very amazing, it's very cool. Certain aspects, certain aesthetical parts of the history, I'll say. Let me stop. Let me put the pause button there. But like, I do hate having to come and talk about some shit that is happening, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I don't fuck with the vibes politically right now. You know what I mean? A little bit of that, but actually big asterisks on the Japanese history stuff that I like, because obviously they've done some things, they've done some atrocities, but I mean, hey, like once again, every superpower really has along the way, every developing nation. Anyway, let me shut up. From NPR, Japan's ruling party elects Sanae Takaichi as leader, likely to become first female prime minister. So, I mean, hey, at least the silver lining here, we're going to say, shout out to a girl boss. We love to see it. Yay. That's 2 girl boss stories in 1 episode. It's a bratfall. No, this is not a bratfall. Anyway, Japan's governing party on Saturday elected former economic security minister Sanae Takaichi as a hardline ultra-conservative and China hawk as its new leader, making her likely to become the country's first female prime minister. In a country that ranks poorly internationally for gender equality, the 64-year-old Takaichi makes history as the first female leader of Japan's long-governing conservative liberal Democratic Party. She is the most conservative. She is one of the most conservative members of the male-dominated party. And once again, I always have to make this fucking asterisk that they are not a liberal party. Like, I feel like sometimes that gets a little bit overlooked. And I mean, hey, once again, NPR, I feel like they do shoot pretty straight, and they do, illustrate the character of the person and everything. But I don't know. I always feel like you got to make sure that that's like, hey, for the record, this is not a liberal party. But anyway, maybe that's just like a thing that gets in my craw, and I should just like chill a little bit. But anyway, and an admirer of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Margaret fucking Thatcher. Pause. That's a red flag. I always gotta stop and mention this shit. Whenever I hear this shit, that is a bad sign. I don't want to hear that. Like, I immediately go, okay, I don't care if you're a girl boss. I don't care if this is for the girlies. I don't care if this is for the ladies. No, this is you're boo. Thumbs down from here. I don't like that shit. You're a Margaret Thatcher enjoyer? We don't fuck with that. All my homies hate Margaret Thatcher. And wait, there's more. Takaichi is a protege of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe's ultra-conservative vision and a regular at the Yasuuke. Oh, I'm fucking this up. We're just gonna try to shoot it. That's a bad choice of words, maybe. Yasukuni Shrine, seen as a symbol of Japan's wartime militarism, which could complicate Tokyo's relations with its Asian neighbors. Hence the history, by the way. Like I said, I wanted to make an amendment. I like samurai shit. I like swords and stuff. Fuck. I'm fucking with that Ghost of Yote. But yeah, not the war crime stuff. Boo that. No, thank you. But yeah, like you're a Shinzo Abe protege type. No, you're fucking with that vision. No. I'm not into that. That's not good. I don't want to see that for Japan. I don't want to see that for any country. Takaichi beat agriculture minister Shinjiro Koizumi, the son of popular former Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi, in a runoff in a vote by the LDP on Saturday. Takaichi replaces Prime Minister Shigeru Shiba as the party hopes to regain public support and stay in power after major election losses. She is likely to be Japan's next prime minister because the party remains by far the largest in the lower house, which determines the national leader, and because opposition groups are highly splintered. So that's why I figured, hey, we can just go ahead and cover it now, just get it out of the way. I mean, once again, congratulations to a girl boss. You could say it really doesn't matter. It's not like I'm rooting for a Shiba to win. It's not like it makes much of a fucking difference. It's still the same party doing the same governing. I think for them, this choice is a little bit easier because this is probably someone who, even though she ran on like the idea of like, actually, I'm more of a moderate conservative. I'm not as conservative as people think or say. But it's like, no, you are. And then also, not to mention, you do have the China hawk mentality that I think is something that can kind of carry, at least once again to a American audience. And that's something that Japan obviously has to deal with because they have Donald Trump to deal with. And he's supposed to be coming down and sitting down with them soon and talking, I think, some kind of tariffs and, oh, you guys need to like pay more for your own security, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And I think you want someone with more like-minded views to a Donald Trump, to an ultra-conservative MAGA vibe than, someone who might be less than. So I get why they're making this decision, and it adds up. And once again, you kind of do the wink and the nod of saying, actually, we are being pretty liberal because it's a woman. Look at the boobies. Like, no, dude, like, if it's fucking this conservative shit, then that's not good. It's not worth. That's ass. But hey, who am I to say? I'm a guy in fucking Ohio talking fucking shit, But anyway, that's it. That's all I have. That will be the episode for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/AZANews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, AZANews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing's caring. All the stars are appreciated on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.